From the building on Glass Street, we were able to move into another building on St. Louis Street, which was right still in East LA. And that gave us a little more room for expansion. And God was moving, more people were coming in and getting saved. And that's where, on the building on St. Louis Street, it was where many received the call of God upon their lives. I believe that on Glass Street, it was a growing time. It was a time of building, a time of maturing, a time where they were getting close to God. But then, and also a time where the vision was being cast, and it was a time of vision casting. And then on St. Louis Street is when all of a sudden that vision was put into action. And that's where God began to separate men and women for the work of the ministry. And in St. Louis Street is where they received the call of God, and we began to launch out people out there into different cities. Also in St. Louis Street is where we hit a crossroad within our ministry, where the government and also the city officials began to see the great work that was being done with drug addicts and gang members in East Los Angeles. And they offered us funds, federal funds. And I remember that I was kind of hesitant in the beginning, and they said, well, we'll just go ahead and we'll try it out. And we tried it out for a year. We received funding for 1 year. And then the second year, they wanted to go ahead and double the funding. But at that time is when God began to show me that this ministry was not going to depend on government funds, but it was going to be a ministry of faith. And that we were going to trust God, and God's people were going to tithe and even give them above their tithes, and that God's people were the ones that were going to support the work of the ministry. So we went ahead and refused the funding that they wanted to give us. And that's when the newspaper people came and they put us right on the front page. Here is when everybody's fighting for a piece of the pie, Victory Outreach has denied, has rejected, or doesn't want to be funded. And man, I mean, that made an impact where we even received different donations from different people, different politicians that send donations to our ministry and says, we are really proud the way you've taken a stand with your convictions. And then from St. Louis Street, I remember that we went also, even before we went to the International Club, we went into an auditorium there in Montebello High School Auditorium. We were there for 2 years. And then from that auditorium, then we went on into the International Club. And that's where at the International Club, we had a number of conferences. We couldn't have it at the Montebello High School because we couldn't have it for the whole week. But at the International Club, we were able to have it for the whole week, and we continue on having our conferences. And then finally, we went out there by faith, and there was 15 acres of land that we were able to purchase right in La Puente. And that place was so devastated. I mean, it was all burnt. And when I first went, it was very hard for me to see through the eyes of faith. My wife even had more faith than me at that time. She was able to see what was going to happen. And I had a hard time really seeing, envisioning it. But we went ahead, and by faith, we took that step. And that's where God took us again into another level, that we were able to eventually build an auditorium there that could seat 3,500 people. And there we would pack that out. We packed it out. We would not only have 3,500, we even had as many as 4,000 people that we had there in the auditorium in La Puente. And that's where it also became the Mama Church. And from that point on, is where we've learned to put our trust and confidence in God to meet all of our needs, not only our spiritual needs, but also our financial needs as well. And that was where God began to even expand the ministry even more.